what's up, and welcome to the Weekenders. This is the show where we talk about the best football games of the weekend. And boy, this is an episode where we're going to talk about one of the biggest football games of the year. And it's a big one every year, but especially this year. And I'm not even going to, well, okay. I'm not going to bury the lead. We're going to talk about Bobby's Oklahoma Sooners and the Red River Rivalry. But before we get to that, we got some other hot topics in college football and in the NFL to discuss before we get into the games. But first, Lexi, Bobby, how are you doing today?
Great. Just happy to be here. Happy to be back, and I missed last week, so.
I am doing terrific. This is legitimately a holiday week for us here in Oklahoma and some parts of Texas. So just cannot wait to get things going this Saturday. Just super, super excited.
Yeah, I think we talked about the Lions last week too without Lexi. That felt weird, but
I know, I'm so sad because what a win for my boys.
But awesome. So, all right, let's jump right into this. Okay, so I think after this past week, a lot of people debated who the number one team should be in college football because Georgia, although they did have to go to Auburn, which is a tough place to play, they looked pretty pedestrian. They looked a little shaky against South Carolina as well at home. But that sparked a little bit of a debate. So to start the show, I want to ask you guys who should be the number one ranked team in college football. By the way, the AP still has it as Georgia, for those who don't know. So
yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest. If it were Michigan or Texas, you could throw up either one, and I'd be like, well, that's a pretty good argument. I feel like Georgia's getting it. You know, they played close in their last game. They haven't been necessarily blowing out these teams like they should be, or they did last year, I should say. So I don't know if they're necessarily number one team. I don't hate it. I'm not angry about it, but it's going to be interesting after this weekend how things shake up.
I know for a fact who it should be. It should be the Texas Longhorns. They have the absolute best win in the country, going on the road in Tuscaloosa, winning in decisive fashion like that. And as we've kind of seen from Alabama recently, that's not a bad Alabama team. They had their weird little slumpy South Florida game, but that was obviously without their main quarterback because they're trying out some different ones. So they've been fine since Jalen Milroe has taken the helm again. That clearly is the guy. Alabama's a good team. Texas going in there, massive win. They genuinely look really complete. Offensively, they're clicking. Defensively, they're strong. I just think genuinely they're the number one team. They have the resume to prove it. Even their non-conference is kind of pretty strong. People sleeping on Wyoming a little bit. I think the Horns should be first, honestly, given what we've seen.
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion. I think, like Michigan, because they've been ranked for 2 the whole year. After seeing what we saw Georgia do, I feel like I wouldn't have. I feel like logically it makes sense for you to say, okay, Georgia doesn't look like the number one team. Michigan's been dominant in every single game they've played. I see the argument for Michigan kind of jumping one spot ahead of Georgia. The competition isn't great, but Michigan's still a good team. They've looked really good in all their games. They're ranked number one overall in efficiency. They're doing good on both sides of the ball, but if I'm being honest, I think I have to agree with Bobby. And Texas, if we're talking about quality of wins, with who they've beaten, they dominated some of their weaker competition as well. Looked great last week against Kansas. Granted, Kansas didn't have a starting quarterback, but they didn't allow that game to become a game where they're looking ahead to Oklahoma and they didn't play well. They went in there and handled their business. Some people, like I've heard arguments for Florida State And my one gripe with Florida State is that they would have lost to Boston College had Boston College not set the Guinness World Record for penalties in that game. So like you can't almost lose to Boston College and be ranked number one anywhere, in my opinion. But yeah, I have to agree that Texas to me probably deserves to be number one. But at this point, I'm like anybody but Georgia until we see Georgia actually play like we've seen Georgia in the last couple of years. But it is what it is. Okay.
It's so early. People
Yeah,
get so worked up about rankings, and I'm like, I just want to be ranked at the end of the season. I don't care.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's exactly right. All right. September is gone. We're in October. Spooky season. October is great for so many reasons. It's fall. You got pumpkin spice lattes. You got, Halloween
oversized
town
sweaters, boots. I love it all.
Yeah.
Chili.
Yeah.
A lot of
whatever.
chili.
Insert your favorite thing about October. It's finally here. October's very own. Shout out Drake. Okay. September was a nice month for the start of football in the NFL and college football. I want to know for you guys, for both the NFL and college. We'll start with college football. What was the biggest surprise of September?
I'm this close to joking around and saying Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. But look, if you're listening to this, you're already tired of that story. So I'm definitely not going to say that. Man, biggest surprise of September. That's a tricky one. I think in a weird way, it's how non-dominant Georgia looks. And I know we just finished kind of talking about how they don't deserve to be number one, but it's just how weird it's been. They didn't really lose a ton. I feel like you still have Brock Bowers. You lost Stetson Bennett, who was a solid quarterback, of course, but overall, replaceable. And they just haven't looked very good at all. So to me, I think maybe Georgia is up there. LSU has been astonishingly not good as well. I kind of saw that one coming a little bit more, like a couple of my Weekenders co-hosts, but that's fine. And then, I guess you could say the Lions. I feel like the Lions have been excellent. That I think that's a surprise for some. Obviously, we valued them pretty high, given I feel like we all root for each other's teams a little bit. So because of that, we've kind of boosted up the Lions a bit, but they've impressed. So I would say those are the three teams that have surprised me.
So I think for college, West Virginia and Duke have kind of been super surprising. I think West Virginia, we all kind of said were not going to be very good this year. Like they had a tougher schedule, whatever, but they've really come out and done a good job, being Fort One. And I know that Duke returned a lot of players, but just still the way they've been playing is just awesome. And I just hope, I don't know if there's anything that's come out with their quarterback, but I really hope he's okay. But yeah, so for NFL, Joe Burrow. What is going on with the Bengals and Burrow? It's just I know that they had that win, but it's just been kind of ugly, and Joe's been really off his mark. So I don't know if he's going to gather it and get it together and get his team back on track, but they've definitely been surprising this year.
Yeah, those are some good surprises. I would say for me in college football, Bobby talked about it a little bit, but how mid the SEC is through September. We only have one SEC team in the top 10 of the AP poll, which is insane. And, you can chalk that up to a lot of things. Part of that is the Pac-12 is very, hot right now, and they have a lot of teams up there. But, the SEC, just, there's you could have a good argument for three teams winning the SEC West alone. The the parity in the SEC is kind of crazy. So for me, college football kind of seeing that happen is kind of weird. I'll also throw in like for the NFL, Kansas City, like question mark, like I think they're Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, maybe they figure it out, but I think they have a real issue at receiver. We saw it in the first game. I mean, that loss shocked everyone, to the Lions. But I mean, that's a problem they're going to have all year is pass catchers. And Patrick Mahomes looked a little shaky this past week against the Jets. But yeah, that kind of like makes me feel like they might not even get back into the Super Bowl, let alone win. I know they're the favorites, but they got to figure out how to get some pass catchers on that team because it's not looking good. And that's kind of been a really big surprise for me. All right, on to the games. While everyone tunes into the show, let's talk about the big games of the weekend. And we're not even gonna waste any more time. The Red River Rivalry is this Saturday at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. OU and Texas, both OU's 12, Texas is number 3. Texas is favored by a little under a touchdown. 6.5 is the line. Over under is 60.5. Talked about it a little bit with Texas, kind of showing what they've been able to do over the last few weeks and looking impressive. But one thing that's gone under the radar is Oklahoma's offense. And frankly, like the way Dylan Gabriel is playing has been phenomenal. But Texas is playing some really good defense as well, even against some tough competition. So, Bobby, kick us off, man. Who has the edge? OU's offense or Texas's defense?
This is that's a really good question because I feel like we've heard and kind of have an idea of what OU's offense is from previous teams. It's not quite that, though. We've seen a couple pretty solid offensive performances. You can look at Iowa State last week. That 50-point performance, very, very good. But we've also seen it be a little choppy. Cincinnati was one game that it didn't look really on point. Same with SMU earlier in September as well. So it's one of those where it has been inconsistent at times. Texas's defense, on the other hand, I feel like has been consistent, solid, really, really top notch. In addition to that, I don't think OU offensively has been tested on the line as much. So Texas's massive defensive line is going to be an absolute just shock to the system to an O-line that has been, I don't want to say bad. They've just been inconsistent. So I think to me, with the D-line being what it is for Texas, the defense as a whole, I think Texas's defense definitely has an advantage just on the surface right now. It is a pretty solid offense. It's a better offense than what we saw in the past. Good wide receivers. The running game is an absolute disaster right now. This is one of the worst running games OU has had in a long, long time. A lot of hype for a couple guys who've just not really materialized due to kind of questions about injuries. We have a guy who's been here like 6 years, taking the majority of carries. Dylan Gabriel has the most amount of rushing touchdowns on the team, which is shocking. So yeah, overall OU's offense, while it puts up a lot of numbers, you have to consider their opponents and really dive deeper into how it operates. I think I feel pretty confident saying that Texas's defense legitimately has a pretty big edge here. OU's offense is going to get tested big time.
Yeah, there's not much I can really say to top that, but I agree that Texas defense has been the most consistent of the two because it is really a toss-up. This is going to be a great matchup, and I'm really excited for it. But yeah, if I have to pick right now, it's the consistency, and that's Texas's defense.
The interesting thing, if this was the NFL, like I would say normally good defenses are like the top defenses against the top offenses, normally you see the defense win more often in the NFL than not. We've seen it in Super Bowls. We've seen it like that. That's just how it is. In college football, though, I think offenses are able to um, succeed a little bit more, even against some good defense. Um, Considering the talent level and the opponents, but like if it's similar, like this could definitely be the team. Texas is got an edge, but I think they're gonna have to be on their toes offensively as well, which you know Quinn Ewers is looking a little bit better. They've got a good run game. Um, I the answer is Texas defense to me, but I think like OU is going to be able to. Um, I think OU is going to be able to move the ball and score points a little bit easier than people think. Um, and I think Texas is going to have to match that intensity and physicality. Um, and I mean, because this is a big rivalry. Obviously, OU wants that terrible taste out of their mouth from last year. So this is one of those games really where like, yeah, Texas is going to play good defense, and that might have an edge, but really all bets are off because this is a huge game and OU wants their revenge for sure.
Absolutely. I will make a stone cold guarantee right now. And if I could make a lock, this is too lame to be a lock of the week. OU will definitely score 1 point. They are not going to get shut out again. I will absolutely tell you that. Last year we basically had a tight end taking every snap. So yeah, literally used the tight end as our quarterback. So at least this year we have a functional offense. So.
Well, that kind of leads right into my next question because, now you have a starting quarterback to go into this game. He's playing well. Who's the most important player in this game?
This is a really good question. I mean, I feel like you have to. I feel like it's got to be Dylan Gabriel. Honestly, he was obviously out of commission last year for last year's OU Texas debacle. And I feel like both defenses are going to do a really solid job. This OU defense has massively improved, which I would love to talk about later a little bit. With Danny Stutzman and all them, I feel like they'll get it done to contain Quinn Ewers and like slow them down. But this thing is going to live and die by Dylan Gabriel. And if he can keep this offense up to pace with Quinn Ewers and that machine that Steve Sarkisian has, we've seen bad Dylan Gabriel in the past where he'll make mistakes. He has a little bit of a when he runs. Sometimes he loses the ball a lot. There have been a lot of inopportune fumbles that we've seen at times. A couple bad picks here and there. If he can stay poised in the moment, not hit his throws, convert on third downs, be this Dylan Gabriel we've seen these past five games where he has been efficient, he has been hitting his targets. Then yeah, I think OU has a puncher's chance to win this ball game if they can keep pace with Quinn Ewers in that offense. So yeah, I think it comes down to if Dylan Gabriel can do that. I know Quinn Ewers can. I truly believe that he'll be fine there. But it's about if his counterpart can trade blows to go with him.
Yeah, I like that you selected him. I would even just say too that Oklahoma's defensive unit as a whole is important in this game to contain Quinn Ewers, to contain this Texas offense. That coming back from a 49-0 loss or whatever last year to making sure that they don't go off again. That's going to be probably the most important step in this game. Is just both sides really being able to contain, but it's going to be fun to watch.
My answer is going to be pretty wild, and if I'm right about this, I don't know, but his name is, hold on, I have it right here, Birch Auburn. Who is Bert Auburn, you ask? The kicker for Texas. Let's look at his stats for a second. He's great on extra points. Hasn't missed an extra point yet this year. Congrats. But he's 9 for 14 on field goals. He's 4 for 5 on field goals from 20 to 29 yards. 3 for 3 in the 30s, and 2 for 4 from 40 to 49, and 0 for 2 from 50. So in a game like this, I've seen games where like I've seen versions of this rivalry where like the Texas had Dicker the kicker, and he's the big hero. And I know Bobby remembers that, but like
I was there.
In a game like this, like special teams might be the winner or loser for you. And I haven't read anything about whether or not Sark has confidence in the kicker. I mean, he's pretty efficient from 20 to 40, which are your gimmies. But sometimes in a game like this, those 40, 50-yard kicks matter, especially in overtime, double overtime, which I would not be surprised if this game went past regulation. So again, if I'm right about this, then it'd be crazy. But I hope that Auburn is getting some extra work in the gym. I don't know what the weather's going to be like. Hopefully it's Dallas, Texas, so the wind could be anything, could do anything really. But hopefully the kicker's on point, because if it comes down to that, he's going to need to come through.
Yeah, it's going to be an uncharacteristically cool day in Dallas, 71. So we're all very excited about that, to say the least. We have all gotten our fair share of OU Texas sunburns. But I will say, in terms of the kicker game, look, in 2020, we had an overtime period where both kickers either missed or blocked a field goal, or like had their field goal blocked to win the game. So, yeah, that kickers are massively important in this ball game.
Yeah, and just like to compare, it looks like OU starting kicker is Zach Schmidt. He's only had to make 7 field goals this year, but 6 for 7. Made the 40 to 49 yarder that he was asked to make. Hasn't kicked a 50 yarder yet, but he's been a little bit more efficient. Granted, less attempts, but yeah, gotta make those kicks in big games like this. All right, we're gonna throw it to Bobby for a little history lesson. This is a pretty big Red River rivalry game in terms of like the quality of the teams. Definitely way better than last year for sure. So this is in terms of like, obviously, because we don't know the result. So like going into the game, in your OU fandom history, this probably is the best like matchup between OU and Texas since when?
Right. So this harkens back to I grew up. I would say the first OU Texas I really, really remember was like 2000, maybe 2002, 2003, somewhere around there. First one I went to was 2004 with Adrian Peterson. So I grew up in like legendary, like 1 versus 5 matchups where it decided the Big 12 and potentially decided who goes to the national championship. Those days have passed. So, I mean, well, not for OU's fault. It's, the burnt orange folk down there just kind of, didn't hold up their end of the bargain. So, yeah, it has been a while. It's the first undefeated matchup between OU and Texas since 2011. That was I believe, it was a 55-17 win from the Sooners there. So pretty good stuff. But this is probably it feels the biggest since 2008, which is very famous OU Texas game. 45-35 Texas win, 1 versus 5. The 5th-ranked Longhorns beat the number 1 ranked Sooners there. Colt McCoy, Sam Bradford, just an epic clash. Genuinely one of the best OU Texas games of all time. It's seriously, look up those highlights if you don't remember it. Absolute classic, to say the least. So definitely the biggest since 08. We've had a couple moments here and there. The game's wild regardless of records or rankings, but in terms of a pregame hype, like pregame energy over here, it feels different. Not quite at '08 levels, but it's nearing that kind of end. A lot of people in Oklahoma don't quite know really what we have yet with the Sooners. There's a little bit of, I don't know, trepidation. People aren't sure if this is actually the real deal. I think they're probably not ready to get hurt again. If I'm going to be honest, after every win, regardless, people are like, yeah, it doesn't matter. We don't know what we have until Texas. Texas is genuinely kind of the only team that's going to test OU this year. So there's a little bit of trepidation there, which is probably dampening the hype a little bit. But I would say, yeah, this is the biggest one since 2008, which that's saying something.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, looking forward to this, especially since, like you said, like, both teams sort of like this matters for both teams. Not only just like in the Big 12, but obviously, if Texas were to win this and then go the rest of the way, you're looking at them as a legitimate CFP contender. Same with OU; they take care of business here. Their schedule is cake after this. Like that means a lot moving forward. Okay, prediction time, and ladies and gentlemen, we have a sweep in the direction that you would not expect. We all have picked Texas to win the game. I'll give my reasons first. To me, it comes down to Texas. It comes down to two things. One, I haven't seen evidence that OU can stop the explosive passing game that Texas brings with Quinn Ewers and Worthy. I just don't see it yet, and that's mainly because OU hasn't played the competition you would like to see to be able to be like, okay, yeah, they can replicate this. And also, I think Texas is just proven from the Alabama game to the way they handled Kansas to just the way they're playing in general, regardless of the opponent, that they seem to have gotten over the, oh my God, this moment is too big for me, like Texas, that we've watched over the last few years. And so I think from a talent perspective and on the football field, this is the better team. And I think the mental traps that that we've seen them falter to seem to be behind them. And so for those two reasons, I'm taking Texas to win this game. But I think Oklahoma is going to make it a game, but I think Texas ultimately wins.
I've got Texas. I just think that Quinn Ewers and the offense is just going to be a little too much. I think it's going to be a great game, though. I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way. I also think it's going to be high scoring because you do have both offenses that are going to go off. Overall, I do have Texas winning, though. They're just looking so hot right now, so it's just hard to pick against them at this time.
Look, I think people are going to be a little bit surprised with the lack of scoring in this one. Both of these teams have really solid defenses. I think a lot of people are going to be very impressed with how OU has changed defensively. It's a unit that looks completely different. And OU has come, in my opinion, significantly far from where they were last year. I think I'm comfortable regardless of the results in saying that. That being said, where Texas is right now in terms of their development is just too far. They've gone through. They're kind of like a year ahead. They started the full teardown in 21. 22 was their year to kind of get a little bit better, and this is the year where they're taking that CFP next level step. I don't think Oklahoma's far behind. I think there are a couple more pieces that are being addressed in recruiting that are getting in there. A couple people who have joined OU this year who are getting better, really raising that profile of what you need to succeed in a conference like the SEC. Big defensive linemen, that speed, that different level of defense that's required to really win in that conference. I feel like OU's bringing that. They're building that. But right now, I just don't think they're there in terms of that development. Now, if we get a rematch in Arlington, Big 12 championship, maybe they'll have incubated and built enough over time to get there and really win this ball game. And they might win on Saturday. Anything can happen in the Cotton Bowl. I've seen just unbelievable things over my years of going there, and you genuinely do not know. And you would never want to discount a team that is pissed off after losing 49-0 in a rivalry game. But overall, I think Texas just has too many weapons, too much firepower. And I think over the haul of a full game, they just have enough to pull away from this OU team right now. But look, give it another year, I'll be right back picking the Sooners. But right now, just not quite there yet.
All right. Well, we love the self-awareness, and we hope for a good game either way. But yeah, we should be in for a fun ride with that one. Okay, let's move on to the other big noon game that I'm sure less of America would be paying attention to, but has a little bit of buzz behind it because Maryland, quiet 5-0 team, and not ranked in the top 25, which some people were upset about on the interwebs. But Ohio State, this game, Maryland will go to Ohio State to play them. Ohio State ranked number 4, had a bye week to sort of come down from the Notre Dame win that they had, big emotional win, where Ryan Day was gonna fight Lou Holtz. It seemed like after the game, but no, Ohio State's favored by 19.5 in this one. Over in is 57.5. Does Tallulah and Maryland deserve more buzz? And I mentioned Tallulah because obviously he's playing fantastic. Numbers look really good. Maryland's 5-0. But yeah, do the Terrapins deserve more buzz?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. We talked about how, even the SEC and stuff is like not looking good, but just the fact that like Maryland's 5-0 and has had very good convincing wins. They've always kind of been, especially with him at quarterback, whatever, that they've been sneaky good, and they always give us a good game. They typically, give Ohio State, even during the urban years, good games. So they've always been a good team. I just think they get overlooked because you got, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State in the East. So it's kind of like they're a forgotten or afterthought, but they absolutely deserve to be ranked. It's kind of bogus that they're not, but, I think it's just a little bit of a bias against the Big Ten, in my opinion.
The score, if you look at like last year, you mentioned the Ohio State. Like, I remember like last year, that game was way closer than what the final score indicated. Like they gave Ohio State issues. And they gave CJ Stroud fits in Maryland last year. So yeah, this is going to be a good game. I'm surprised the line is 19.5. To be honest with you, but yeah, Bobby, what do you think? Does Maryland deserve more buzz?
No, I don't think they do. There are a couple teams that I feel like are 5-0 that are quickly going to be not 5-0, and not because they won a game, they go 6-0. And I think that Maryland falls in that category. I feel like every year we get into the whole like, oh wait, the Terrapins are kind of sneaky good, and then they immediately get on that big stage and completely crap themselves. And that's what I kind of feel like is going to happen here. The Buckeyes, they've looked sleepy at times, and this is just the perfect opportunity, I feel like, for a team like Maryland who is a little, they've shined at moments, but let's be real, they're not ready for that stage. They're not ready to be on that level. Agreed with the Pac-Man noise. They're about to get stomped.
Okay, all we can say is at least they're better than 3-2 LSU. The fact that LSU is even on this top 25 is like,
that's
just
silly.
Whatever. But that's a different conversation.
It is really silly. I fully agree. But yeah, Maryland has earned, I don't know, accolades, but they should be ranked 25, even if it means they're not actually the 25th best team. They earned it. There should be no 2-loss team in the top 25. Get LSU's ass out of here. What have they done? What have
Nothing
they done?
but BLSU.
It's actually insane. But yeah, whether you look at it from the perspective of the rankings or you want to say this 19.5 spread is like a little disrespectful, like, yeah, I don't know. I think Maryland maybe deserves a little bit more love. 5-0 is an accomplishment. It's actually funny. 80% of the public is betting on Maryland to cover, so a lot of people think Maryland's a good team.
I think Maryland will cover.
Yeah.
I think 19.5 is a little too big.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this real quick. Ohio State's defense has been playing really well. Their offense has been a little shaky. I think we kind of saw that against Notre Dame. But Maryland's offense is humming. They're looking good again. Tua's little brother is balling out over there. Haven't played a murderous row of teams. The last 3 games were against Virginia, Michigan State, and Indiana. But, still Big Ten competition. Still got to go out there and ball. But they have been scoring, with the best of them in the Big Ten. Offensively, they just look great. And obviously, again, they're going to have to go up against the Ohio State defense. They're a top 20 team in offensive efficiency overall, third in the Big Ten, even higher than Penn State in offensive efficiency. I think their scoring per game is like something crazy too. I have to look that up in a second. But yeah, who has the edge? Maryland's offense or Ohio State's defense?
So I've got Ohio State's defense. I mean, they're just, some of the best in football right now with Michigan, Texas, all of them just suffocating. Yes, I think Maryland's offense is good. But when it comes down to the 2 of those, I'm definitely going to give the edge to Ohio State's defense. So
yeah, it's the Buckeye defense at home. Offense is the side of the ball that doesn't travel well. When you're going into the horseshoe, like, that's just not going to work. Not for Maryland. That Buckeye defense is going to be all over the place, I think.
Now, if it was Michigan, that's another story.
Well, yeah, rivalries don't.
Apparently
Ohio State doesn't know how to. When Ohio State rarely gets a good team in Ohio Stadium, then they don't know what to do. They clearly they don't know how to defend, especially around the giant O at the 50-yard. It's the second time. What are we doing here?
Second time. Gotta throw shade when I can. But anyways,
yeah, I think it's easy to like mention that Ohio State has the edge defensively from a talent perspective. I think everything that Maryland is doing on offense is why the game is going to be close. And we've seen like Columbus is a tough place to play, but we've seen teams go to Ohio State and push them around a little bit. Like, it's not impossible. But yeah, I mean, Ohio State's way more talented. They have 5 stars all over the field. But I mean, Maryland's been great offensively. They lead the Big Ten in yards per game. They're second in points per game. They're at 38.6 points a game, right in front of Ohio State actually, and right behind Penn State. So, yeah, I think from a talent perspective, Ohio State's defense has the edge, but I think Maryland's offense is going to give them a challenge. And if you're Ohio State, like looking at this game, I think like this is a good game to have on your schedule because in 2 weeks you got to face Penn State in their offense, and then obviously down the road Michigan. So this is going to be a good tune-up for Ohio State if they don't let it get too out of hand. But but this could definitely be a good challenge. This will be a really good game. All right, predictions. We kind of all agree again, but not really actually. Um, I've got Maryland. I'm with the 80% of the public who has Maryland covering the spread. I think Ohio State wins, but I think Maryland covers tonight's 10.5.
Yeah, that's what I have too. I mean, I know I have Ohio State as winning outright.
Yeah.
I try not to pick the points in these because it gets a little tricky. But no, I do think Maryland covers.
Yeah. I'm going to Ohio State in the points. I think they're going to finally kind of start revving into gear a bit.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, should be another good one. All right, 2 NFL games, and then we'll get to rapid fire picks. The Eagles, who were just in a dogfight with Sam Howell and the Commanders, have to go to LA to play the Rams, who have surprised people, especially on offense. Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, and Puka Nacua has that thing humming down in Inglewood. And Eagles are favored, though, by 4.5. The over-under is 50 in that game. Are we surprised the Rams aren't terrible? Because I am.
I want to say yes, but if there's anybody that can take a product that everyone thinks is going to be garbage and work with it, it's going to be Matthew Stafford, okay? He had plenty of practice doing so with Detroit over the years, but, it doesn't surprise me. I think that he's gritty and he fights and he's been doing a good job, and I'm bummed that he's got this hip injury, coming in against this game, but, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Staff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I completely ripped into the Rams before the season. That sounds about right. And definitely surprised. They have looked a lot better. Bounce back year. Shout out to, dude, it's pretty crazy that Stafford and Sean McVay, I guess I shouldn't have doubted them because look, McVay's a genius, and I should have known that he was going to bounce back. I mean, the guy won a game with Baker Mayfield on 2 days' notice. So yeah, he can make it work.
Well, the funny thing about the NFL especially is even when teams are having off years, if the coach is really good on a side of the ball, that side of the ball is always going to look good. It's like the Steelers. The Steelers are terrible, but that defense is still playing well. They just don't have the quarterback. They just don't have the offense right. But Mike Tomlin is always going to have that defense looking good. Sean McVay, Rams might not be great. They might not even make the playoffs, but that offense is always going to be viable under Sean McVay. Same with Kyle Shanahan. Same with Bill Belichick. Some guys are just really good with handling their side of the ball, no matter what else is around them. And I think, Sean McVay kind of deserves a lot of respect for keeping this thing afloat. And so does Matthew Stafford as well. He plays a huge part in that as the quarterback. Let's get to the Eagles because I feel like they've been kind of just surviving these last few games. Looking at their schedule, they've been in a lot of close games this year. Granted, they're the Super Bowl champs, so we understand everyone's giving them their best shot. And also, the Eagles haven't looked bad. They're undefeated, so obviously they're winning. But their wins have been by 5. Let's see if I can count. 6. They did beat the Bucs by 13, and then 3 in overtime against the Commanders. So mostly close games. And so the question I'm asking is, are the Eagles giving 2022 Vikings vibes? Because that was the book on the Vikings last year, is that they were winning a bunch of close ones, and they won 13 or 14 games or whatever it was, and then completely melted against the Giants, who look terrible this year. So, um, you know, the Eagles just went to the Super Bowl. I get all that, but are you a little worried that they keep kind of finding themselves in these close games against the likes of the Patriots and the Commanders?
I'll let you go first, Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, a little concerned, but not. I don't know. It just feels it. The more and more it keeps happening, the more and more it feels like, maybe something serious is there, but you see flashes of greatness like what happened last Monday, or not this Monday, but the one before, against the Buccaneers. I thought that was a really strong performance from them. So I feel like they're better than this, and I I kind of have a feeling they'll kind of work it into gear. We've seen what that team can be. Um, last year they were great and had that extra notch that they could go to. I don't think this team's much different. So I'm not too concerned yet, but if they keep doing that, yeah, they're probably like the 22 Vikings.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say like Vikings just yet, because I think that this Eagles team is way more talented all around than what the Vikings team was last year. And I'd take Hurts like 10 times out of 10 over Kirk Cousins. But yeah, they're not playing how they should be. They're not playing in the way that's going to get them back to the Super Bowl, that's for sure. And the way that like a lot of these other NFC teams are playing, it's like you better, keep winning these games to get that home field advantage. Cause I think that's going to be the only way that they kind of advance in the playoffs if they don't fix things. But it's like Bobby said, there's a little bit of concern, but it's like at the same time they're undefeated. Their fans are throwing fits, and it's like if you can do that undefeated, you got yourself a good team. So they'll figure it out. I think. I think that Hurts can get it done.
All right, prediction time. I don't know if I answered the question before I asked you guys, but I think you're right, Lexi, about the talent level, but I think it's something to monitor. Like defensively, I think these close games, like people kind of get fooled, especially again with the Eagles. You just went to the Super Bowl. People are going to be like, "Oh yeah, they're still really good," but I'm like, again, like not only just kind of being in close games, but who they're in close games against. And again, the caveat: everyone gives you your best shot when you just went to the Super Bowl. But I think it's not something that where I'm at a high concern level yet. But I think it's something to watch. Prediction wise, I got the Rams covering the spread, 4.5. I think the Rams can definitely pull this one out. I'm leaning Eagles, but you know what? I'm just gonna push forward and say the Rams are gonna win this game. I like what Sean McVay is doing offensively. I think this is sort of like big bro, little bro, when you have Sean McVay and his offense, and then Nick Sirianni type vibes. So, yeah, I'm taking the Rams to go and pull this one out at home.
Yeah, I'm just taking the Eagles. I think that they, get it together. Yeah, the Rams are good, but with Staff being hurt and the hip injury, I know he's gritty and can play, but it's like the older you get, the more that affects things. So I'm taking Eagles here.
Yeah, I have Philly as well. I have a -4.5, in fact. I feel like this is kind of a situation the Rams get into whenever they are at home against like a really, really popular team from a large area that, has a lot of transplants in LA. I feel like this is going to be kind of an Eagles home game in a way. And not only that, but like Lexi said, Stafford's beat up. It's just, I'm going with Philly here. I think sooner rather than later, we'll see them really kicking things into gear. Because I think at worst, they're just bored. So,
yeah. That's a bold take. Definitely interesting to see what the crowd would be like for sure. All right, last game we're gonna dive into the Sunday nighter. This might be the best football game of the entire weekend. Quite honestly, and that's the Cowboys at the 49ers. The state of Texas at the center of the football world. Who would have thunk it? But no, the Cowboys going to play the 49ers. Niners are favored by 3.5. Over under at 45. Is this a preview of the NFC Championship? I'll go first.
No.
No. Max, you make the templates. You should know better, man. No. Look, here's my thing about the Cowboys. Every year we get excited about them. People are like, oh, the Cowboys, look at them. They beat this team by 40. And then, look, is everyone just forgetting about the Cardinals beating them 28-16? Like, not that long ago. It's like they have these catastrophic failures. We move on after they beat another team, and people forget about it because, look, that thing that happened against like the Cardinals, it might not happen against Arizona later down the line, but it'll happen. It's gonna happen down the line, probably in like the first round of the playoffs. So I am so out on the Cowboys as just a concept. No, I think the Niners will get there. I think the Niners are really, really, really good. I think they figured out everything with Purdy and everything, and McCaffrey has just been a machine. And really, I mean, just the idea of Christian McCaffrey, having a full season, full training camp under his belt, it's startling. MVP level performance incoming, I think. So yeah, I think half of it's right, just off the Cowboy part.
Same. If anybody but the Cowboys, for the love of God. But I agree. They're eventually going to fall flat on their face at some point, and maybe we'll all point and laugh or have a good time over it. But I think the Niners for sure. I mean, I have an Eagles as the lock going in for the NFC Championship, but Niners have exploded. Both sides of the ball looking sharp, very strong. Very thankful we don't play them. Or wait, do we play them this year? I forget. No, I don't think we do. But we'll see them in the playoffs if we make it there. But yeah, they're just too good. But definitely not a preview.
Yeah, you guys know I'm on the Lions NFC Championship train. So yeah, I think the Niners would be more likely to make it than the Cowboys. The Niners, I think, could be subject to a letdown based on the matchup. Like I think if they somehow get the Eagles early or something like that, then yeah, I would be able to see the Niners losing that because of the quarterback matchup. But yeah, the Cowboys, they're gonna have to show me and probably the rest of the world that they can win a playoff game, or put multiple playoff wins together. Because we've seen time and time again that they just fall flat on their face. So yeah, I'd have a hard time seeing both of these teams in the NFC Championship. And like you guys said, the most likely candidate to be in this spot is the Niners, hands down. All right, so this is another who has the edge question. We got Dallas's defense, who's been playing pretty well outside of the Cardinals game, and the Niners offense, who looks great. Christian McCaffrey is getting MVP buzz. So who has the edge?
Yeah, I mean, either type of edge is going to go to the Niners on both sides. So you could ask me and I could be blindfolded. I'll pick the Niners. But yeah, McCaffrey is just going off. And I've been waiting. I mean, I know Max, you waited a long time too, but just to see him healthy, to see him out there and just like killing it. And so I'm happy for the guy. I hope he can continue this and have a full season. It's going to be great to see. But yeah, this Niners offense is straight fire. So Brock Purdy's got the world on watch.
Yeah, Niners minus 3.5. Next question.
Yeah, it's actually funny. The Cowboys, I think, are definitely going to be focused and ready for this game because of the playoff loss last year. I think in a press conference, Dak talked about how pissed he was going to be. I don't know how much of a difference that makes offensively, but I actually do have a lot of trust in the Cowboys defense to make it interesting, to make it a close game. I don't know how it helps them win necessarily, But I actually do think that the Cowboys are going to be able to put a lot of pressure on Brock Purdy, maybe bait him into making some mistakes. Um, I don't know how they stop Christian McCaffrey though. That's probably going to be the key, if anything. But I actually think the Dallas defense has more of an edge than people realize. Um, okay, now predictions. I think we all picked the Niners, and yes, Bobby, you have the Niners minus 3.5. I'm having an issue with that. I mean, like I could do Dallas plus 3.5 or whatever, but I think the Niners are gonna. I mean, we all think the Niners are gonna win the game. No need to really, hash that out too much. Um, okay, those are the big games, and if you've been watching for the last few weeks, now we also do rapid fire picks on some other games because we know we got some fans of football here that want to know what we think about their teams and their games, and some great games this weekend. So here's the rapid fire. Here we go. LSU at Mizzou. Mizzou, another surprising team in the college football slate, kind of like the Maryland of the SEC. Uh, Missouri looks pretty good. Now LSU with 2 losses has to go to Columbia, Missouri, and try to win a game against this Mizzou team who has some hair on their chest after some big wins. So I'm taking LSU. Brian Kelly, I just trust LSU too much. Maybe that's foolish. Maybe it is, but it's still Mizzou, and it's still Brian Kelly and LSU we're talking about. So I'm going with LSU.
Yeah, I'm taking Mizzou here. I'm loving this downfall of Brian Kelly, I should say. No, a little bit, but blaming players, not taking accountability for why they lost. He's going to explode and be beat red on that sideline on Saturday. So give me Mizzou.
So a lot of nice things have been happening in Missouri. They're 5-0. They got the #1 recruit in the country in Williams Nwaneri. And look, too many nice things are happening to Missouri, so they're going to lose this one to LSU pretty badly. The dream's over for Eli Drinkwitz here.
Yeah. All right. Washington State has been playing really well. Cam Ward's balling, but they got to come and face a tough LSU. They have to face a tough UCLA team at the Rose Bowl this Saturday. I will take. I'll take UCLA. I think, to be honest with you, I know Washington State's balling out. I haven't paid close attention to them this year, but I think UCLA, Chip Kelly has that team sort of just so focused. I know they can get tripped up sometimes, but I just feel like at home they're going to be able to take care of business here. I like Dante Moore. I like what UCLA's got going. I think they're still trying to be in the mix here in the Pac-12. So give me the Bruins.
Yeah, I definitely like UCLA at home. Chip Kelly always gets his guys ready, always has them. So, yeah, give me them.
Look, Wazoo and Oregon State have multiple things in common, including being left behind in major college football, which is sad because I like both programs, both fan bases. I'm not Pat McAfee insulting them. I think they're both great spots, but both of those teams do better when they're in Corvallis or Pullman, respectively. I think Washington State loses this one on the road in the Rose Bowl to UCLA.
Yeah. All right, we got an SEC matchup here. Another one. Alabama at Texas A&M, who Texas A&M lost another starting quarterback, but Max Johnson looks pretty good for them. Like Bobby mentioned earlier, it looks like Alabama has found out that Jalen Milroe is the best guy for them to start. So, Alabama going to Kyle Field in a tough 3:30 SEC brawl. It's hard to see. It's hard to imagine Alabama losing twice in any given season, but I think they're going to lose here to Texas A&M. Kyle Field's a tough place to play. I know Jalen Milroe has his confidence back, but Texas A&M is doing some good things too. They look like they are going on a little bit of a stride. after a good win over Arkansas there. So yeah, give me the Aggies.
Yeah, Aggies too. Chaos between Bama and LSU, baby. It's going to be a losing for both of them. So
I don't hate the pick. In fact, I was kind of leaning that way, but now it's feeling too popular. I don't know why. I feel like with A&M, it's like Jimbo Fisher, had that really bad loss to Miami. Seats started to get a little hot. So you know what you do? You go in and you beat Alabama. But I feel like they got too good too quick, and Nick Saban's going to be ready for it. Keep in mind, uh, Alabama lost this one at Kyle Field a couple years ago. I feel like they'll be ready. I have the Tide by this much.
Yeah, I think the line is 2.5. Alabama's favored by 2.5. So, I mean, for 11th ranked team to play an unranked team on the road, even, but like only favored by 2.5, like that says a lot about how close these teams are, or how close Vegas thinks these teams are. All right, Syracuse, Orange, coming off a loss to Clemson at home, have to go travel to play Drizzy Drake May and UNC. My attendance at the game is pending. I'm flying to North Carolina tomorrow, so we'll see if I am able to get to the game. But anyway, you don't care.
I care. I do care
too.
I meant the viewers. I know Lexi and Bob. I know you guys care. I love you guys, but the audience doesn't care. Anyway, yeah, UNC, Syracuse is going great, but UNC, I'm a little nervous about them off of a bye week, but I think they're going to be focused on what they have to do this season. They know they're improving the rest. Actually, I think will help because they were getting a little bit banged up, some key guys. So getting guys back, they'll be focused, they'll be ready. Syracuse will be looking their wounds from Clemson a little bit, and they'll be tough. But I think UNC pulls this out pretty handily, actually.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I thought about Syracuse football, so we're going to go with UNC.
I've been riding Drake May and Carolina High from the beginning of the season, so they're 4-0, been showing out, and they're taking the win this weekend.
All right, Kentucky at Georgia. Now this almost like made the list of the biggest games of the weekend for us because this one's interesting. I mean, Georgia again looked very shaky against Auburn. Kentucky got a big win over a Florida team that was ranked and looking all sparkly. And now Kentucky is undefeated. They're ranked 20 to go into Athens. The Bulldogs are favored by 14.5. Almost 90% of the public is betting on Kentucky to cover that. Georgia's 1-3 against the spread. Two undefeated SEC teams. We know how Mark Stoops gets down. I think the quarterbacks in this game are probably even. I think Kentucky may even have a little bit of an advantage, to be honest, with Devin Leary. But yeah, this is actually a really good game. But I think as much, you know what? No, actually, you know what? I actually do believe that Kentucky can win this game. Like, I think realistically Georgia will win, but because I think Kentucky can win, I'm going to pick Kentucky to win. So
Wow.
I like Kentucky to go into Athens and shock the world.
I like it. It's really bold. I think they're going to keep it close, but I don't see. I feel like Georgia has had too many brushes with death recently, or at least one loss. It's college football; you can recover from that. But too many brushes with defeat to let Kentucky fully beat them. Yeah. Kirby Smart's going to have them ready because this Kentucky team's really good. Like you said, Devin Leary's a baller. I think they have enough to keep this game close and keep it a fight, but they're not going to be snuck up on. So I'm going to go with the Dogs here.
It's a fair point. I think they'll be ready too.
So I'm cocky with the LSU and Alabama, but I just can't have three big dogs going down on one weekend. So I gotta be walking that line. Just give me Georgia, but I do think Kentucky makes it close. Again, exposing them that they're not the same team as last year, but they do leave with the win.
Yeah. All right, last college football game, rapid fire pick is Notre Dame at Louisville. Louisville entering the top 25. They're getting some love now. Jack Plummer's playing well. Louisville was that team that I said before the season when we did the ACC preview. The way their schedule looks, they could definitely be an ACC championship contender because divisions, you just have to have the best record. So Louisville making a little run here. They'll host Notre Dame, who just survived in Durham against Duke. And now they have to travel on the road again to Louisville and play a tough Cardinals team. Notre Dame, I feel like the way they played Duke, they look so much like more physical. They look so ready for that moment. I don't know Sam Hartman's history with Louisville, but obviously, being at Wake Forest, he's familiar with the team, yada yada. I'm going to go to Notre Dame. I think the Ohio State loss was really tough for them, and they know they have to stay afloat until USC at least, if they want to do anything in the postseason. So hopefully they're not looking forward to USC because that is next week, but they know they gotta take care of business in Louisville before they go to the Trojans if they want any shot at the CFP or anything like that. So give me Notre Dame to take care of business in Louisville.
So I'm right there with you. Just kind of sit there for a minute. I agree. They've been playing good. I know they had that loss against Ohio State, but Ohio State's a good team. Everything. I like Notre Dame to probably do well the rest of the season. I know Ohio State was one of their biggest matchups, so I like them in this game. Louisville is ranked right now, right? I think they're like 24.
Louisville's 25.
25. Okay, so yeah, just making it. But it'll be a top ranked win for them. But Notre Dame takes it.
Yeah, I was with you, Maxwell. I was really big on this Louisville team, entering the season. But every time I watch them, they just don't look that great. They don't look like they have taken that leap fully. And I'm still really big on Jeff Brom in that program. I think it's just going to take a little bit more time. I think the Irish have this one on the road, and I think they cover 6.5. But that's not the game.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot of people are agreeing with you on that cover for sure. All right, Ravens at Steelers. Steelers looking like they're going to need a new quarterback, but if it happens or not, we'll see because Mike Tomlin always finds a way to win 8 or 9 games. But yeah, offensive struggles were very apparent last week, and the host Ravens who had a big win over the Browns. I got the Ravens. I think that it's so weird because offensively you don't really know. No, sorry. Let me rephrase that. Offensively, it's just Lamar, just making things happen. And as tough as the Steelers' defense is, as tough as it is as hard as it is to win at Pittsburgh, I just have no faith in their offense whatsoever. So I'm taking the Ravens to go into Pittsburgh and get this dub.
Yeah, Maxwell, I'm right there with you. I think Lamar, he's got it figured out again. He had a pretty solid rebound performance last week, and yeah, no, I'm with you. I think he's got his. I'm trying my best not to say he's got his swagger back, but that's the only thing I can think of. He's got it back. So whatever it is, Lamar Jackson feels like he's pretty back.
Yeah, I definitely like the Ravens. Huge Lamar fan. Like I said, I've always rooted for him, but it's also the Steelers are just not good this year. Matt Canada, their offensive coordinator, is terrible. Quarterback, isn't looking so good. So give me Ravens in this one.
All right, last rapid fire pick. The Jaguars staying in London, doing their thing, going to tea shops and the Big Ben. I don't know what you do in London. Never been before, but they get to chill in London, and the Bills come over. Obviously, the Jaguars got that big win last week against the Falcons, and they'll play at Tottenham, I believe, to host the Bills. And another game that I won't see because, well, actually, no, I'll be on the East Coast, so maybe I will see it. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, the Bills looking really good since week 1. They're humming. Their offense looking good, defense looking good. Now they face Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars, and what basically will be a Jags home game. So I think I'm going to take the Bills. Actually, no. Sorry, I'm going to take the Jaguars. The Jaguars were looking a little bit off kilter. They got their confidence with the big win over the Falcons. They've already been in London, so I think they're comfortable there. Their bodies probably adjust to the time, the elements, and everything like that. The Bills gonna have to come all the way over to London, get adjusted, and everything. They've been playing really well, so I think this could be a letdown spot for them. So I actually like the Jaguars to win this game.
I think it'll be I don't think the Bills are necessarily going to win in the same fashion they did last weekend against Miami, but they're clicking right now. You saw Josh Allen to Diggs really sparking up last week, and I can't see that fizzling out, especially against the Jags. I know it's London, I know the time change and stuff, but I think Josh Allen in his head is just mentally ready now after watching him how he played last week. So it continues, and they get the win.
Look, I don't understand what everyone's talking about with London, because I saw the game and they were clearly in Andy's room. So whatever broadcast y'all are watching, I don't know. But in real talk, though, the Jags, like, not having that layover or that not having to fly to London and just kind of coast out. Max, you took the words right out of my mouth. That's a massive advantage for the Jags.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's going to be a plus. Those games really don't have a lot of environment. It's really just a bunch of British people standing around not knowing what to do because they have no songs prepared and they don't understand why they can drink beer in the stands. So they're just kind of confused mostly, which I think will probably benefit the Jaguars because I don't imagine Jacksonville Jaguar games are that crazy. So
yeah. Okay. We're gonna end the show with lock of the week. Lexi, congrats to Lexi in the leaderboard with 6 points. That means she has hit 3 correct locks since we started doing it for this football season. Remember, each correct pick of the games that we break down, one of the 4 games we break down, each one of those are worth 2 points. But you can also pick any other game as a lock for 1 point. But none of us have gone for the 1-pointer so far. I think we've all gone for the 2s, which is good, all good. But yeah, Lexi leads the board up with 6 points. I got 4. Bobby's got 2. So Bobby and I got some catching up to do, but Lexi's in the lead. Last week I had Colorado plus 21.5. Got the dub on that. Lexi had Dolphins Bills over. She obviously got that one right. With that score, I think that was like in the 50s. And then Bobby had Duke plus 5.5, which was good up until like the final minute or so, which is unfortunate. But so yeah, that's what happened last week. All right, Lexi, since you are our leader, I'll let you go first with your lock this week. You're on mute.
So I know Bobby gave the whole spiel that, these defenses are, really good this year and stuff, but I'm still going to take this Oklahoma-Texas over. This is always a high-scoring game, one side or the other, or both combined. So I just see it continuing. So give me that over. And I think it's 58?
It's 60 and a half,
actually,
I think.
60 and a half.
60 and a half. That's actually not that bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I definitely
not that
think
bad.
that could clear.
Yeah, I can see that. And look, after that Duke game, seeing Sam Hartman, 4th down scramble, broke my heart, and I came to the realization that no matter what I do, no matter what I pick, I cannot win. I cannot win these. Unrelated, I'm picking Texas as my lock of the week. Just straight up. There's no way the Longhorns lose this one.
All right. Can't wait to see the reactions when we post that graphic. That'll be fun.
Oh yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, Bob just realized the actions.
No, they if they understand the context, they know.
Yeah.
No one, stay sleeping on Oklahoma.
Yeah. Okay, so my lock of the week, I'm going NFL here. I got Niners and Cowboys over. Their over under is 45. I just feel like these are two really good defenses, but these are also two really good offenses. And so I think when you have a game that's balanced like that, I think the Niners are going to find a way to score, obviously, and the Cowboys are going to be able to match that. I think that this is much more likely to be a like air it out, back and forth scoring game than a defensive game. I think having the over under at 45 is Vegas trying to bait people into like thinking it's going to be low scoring, but I think it's going to be pretty high scoring. So I really like the over on the Cowboys Niners there. So those are the locks. OU Texas over for Lexi. Texas straight up for Bobby. Cowboys Niners over for myself. We'll see how we do. See if me and Bobby can catch up to Lexi on the scoreboard. And as always, we thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And whatever you do, just enjoy the football games or the basketball games or whatever games you watch. And we'll see you next time.